Folks, welcome to Business 508 Managerial Analytics. This is Jeff Barrows, and I'm going to be your instructor over the next 8 weeks, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. What I wanted to do in this video is go over the graded components of the course and talk specifically about the course project. So if you look at the point distribution here in the middle of the chart, as is typical in all of our online courses, there will be a weekly discussion post. Because this is obviously an analytical course, we're going to make great use of Microsoft Excel. If you notice in the syllabus, there's an expectation that you are at least comfortable with Excel. We're going to teach you a lot of new things in terms of analytical techniques to go through the course. So we'll certainly spend plenty of time on that. And then there will be 2 exams, one during week 6 and one during week 8. What I want to do on the next couple of slides, though, is I want to talk about the course project. And the first thing I want to note, or I want you to notice here, is the course project is worth about 30% of the grade. And so what we're going to do is we're going to break up into small groups. The number of students per group is likely going to be 2 or 3, and I will get those assignments out to you by the first day of class. Let me just suffice to say that I'm going to go through these submittals a bit more in detail on the next 2 slides, but I just want to emphasize up front the fact that you do have a group project in the course, and it is worth about 30% of your grade. As I just mentioned, I will make all the team assignments and I will get them out to you within the first day or by the first day of class. I'll email them to you and I'll post them in several places so it's very evident what the team assignments are. I would ask that by Wednesday of the first week that you are in touch with your teammates and you're beginning to talk about strategy after you've gone through this video and you've read through the syllabus and understand the demands of the project. I'm also going to email you and I will post a couple of completed course projects so you have an understanding of what Columbia College is looking for and what their expectations are for this course project. So in terms of the project, the first thing that you're going to do after you pair up with your group is what I want you to do is I want you to go out and I want you to search the internet for an article, any kind of journal article or anything else that explains where any sort of business has encountered a problem, they've identified it, they have sort of charted the course on exactly what it is they're trying to answer. They have collected data, they have analyzed the data, they've evaluated the data, and they've come up with some sort of strategy that they're going to implement to address the problem they identified up front. And what we're looking for there is something very simple. Each group is going to find an article. You'll find it collectively, one article, read through it, share some thoughts, and then summarize that for us, emphasizing these 4 or 5 things here that I have in the parentheses. And that's really, and the reason that we're doing this is because it's really kind of an overview of what the expectations are for the course project. So that's something that we would expect to see by the middle of week 2. And then as you're starting to have your own discussions, you all should be thinking about the details of your projects. And effectively what you're going to do is you're going to find a company who has stated a problem. They've addressed it however they've addressed it, whether it be through the media or an SEC filing or however they have presented a problem. And then you're going to go through and do exactly what you did or what you read about in the article summary from week 2. You're going to identify the problem. You're going to come up with research questions. You're going to collect your own data. You're going to do your own analysis and come up with your strategy and implementation. So the first submission on your own project is what I call the project roadmap, and I'll talk about the details of that in just a moment. The thing I want to note about the 2 submittals for for week 2 is the article summary and the company that you choose for your own project are very likely not going to be the same company. It could be, but it does not have to be. And often I find that when students do the article summary, that it's done on a company that's much different than the project roadmap or the project itself. So don't feel as though that these two submissions need to be based on the same company. Between weeks 2 and between weeks 2 and 5, there are no submissions on the project itself. But what you should be doing, certainly by week 3, is you should have all of your data, or you should have a very good data set collected based on the research questions that you come up with for your project. So that is really the demand between week 2 and week 5, is to come up with a robust data set that we probably should discuss, so that when you get ready to do your what we're calling the data analysis report in week 5, that you have the right data and an idea of where that's leading you in terms of analysis to address your research questions. So the submittal during week 5 is deliverable 3. It's the data analysis report. Again, I'll talk about the structure of that. The week following, week 6, is going to be the pricing strategy. Again, I will talk about that one as well here in just a second. And then finally, week 7, implementation plan. This is really the last submission before you submit the executive report during week 8. And then once you finish up and submit your executive report, we're asking for a video presentation of the report itself, and we'll talk about that as we get a little bit deeper into the course. But just sort of from a summary standpoint, what I would expect to see during the 8 weeks, Form, Storm, and Norm, the team, the first week, make sure that you're in contact with all your project mates, and what I would really recommend is understanding schedules and what's going to be the best for everybody in terms of a workload, and when you can expect deliverables from each other. So I think that is really probably the biggest point to make during week 1. Again, week 2, deliverables 1 and 2, that will be the article summary and the project roadmap. Again, I do not expect these to be based on the same company. This article summary, again, is really just an opportunity for you all to read something, and again, with an emphasis on understanding the problem statement, the data that was collected, the analytical work that was done, and then the strategy and implementation driven by the data to address the problem that the company identified. And then as you get into your own project roadmap, again, I'll kind of talk about what we're expecting in the roadmap here in just a moment. Week 3, absolutely by then I would expect everybody to have data. During week 3, we're going to talk about a predictive analytic technique called multiple regression or linear regression. Some of you are probably already familiar with that. During weeks 3, 4, and 5, there's going to be individual analytical techniques that we study. Week 3 is regression. Week 4 is forecasting, and then week 5 is data mining. And before you submit your data analysis report, or when you submit your data analysis report during week 5, you should have some understanding and convey that to me on how regression, forecasting, and data mining may or may not be valuable to you. Certainly not saying that you've got to use all or any of those techniques really in your project, but certainly you need to go through and understand where they might be valuable based on the data that you have and the question that you are trying to answer. During week 6, we'll be studying simulation. During week 6, you will also be submitting your pricing strategy recommendation. I'll talk about that, the details of that here in just a minute. And then during week 7 is the implementation plan. I'll also talk about the difference between strategy and implementation here in my next video. Let's see. And then finally, during week 8 will be the written report and your video presentation. The other thing I want to mention here is you will not have your first test until week 6, which covers weeks 3, 4, 5, and 6, which is our study of predictive analytics. So your first exam here, and then the last exam during week 8, which is going to talk about prescriptive analytics, really linear programming and decision analysis. I think the thing I would leave you with here as we look at weeks 1 through 8 is the fact that the majority of the coursework is happening in the last half of the class. And so I urge you, like I said, during that first week to make sure that you have talked to your team, that you all understand how you're going to get through the project and figure out, all the schedules and all of that. The big thing between week 1 and week 5 before your first deliverable, again, is making sure that you're clearly understanding how you're going forward on your project and making sure that you have your own data. I cannot stress again, this is a requirement to collect your own data and do your own analysis. This is not to go, write a report on data and analysis that was collected by and done by another organization. This is purely on you to collect your own data and do your own analysis. So just please keep that in mind, that really there's a lot happening in this last half of the class. Just as kind of an overview of what this final deliverable will look like. And like I said, in my next video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the components of the weekly submissions. But there should be 5 sections to it, an executive summary, very clearly a maximum of 150 words. That's probably the hardest thing to do is, after you've written a 10 or 12 page paper, is to summarize it in 150 words. But that's really the elevator speech if you're doing this work for your boss. So really important, and it's quite a skill to be able to write an executive summary. Let me just say that as you look at sections 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you think about the deliverables that I just talked about, I think you can see where these all sort of fit together in sections 2, 3, 4, and 5. Obviously, the introduction is going to be largely based on your project roadmap. Section 3 is going to be largely based on your data analysis report. And then obviously, as you go through the last couple of weeks and you head towards strategy and implementation, whatever you're gaining from your analysis is going to fit nicely in section 4. And then section 5, the recommendations and conclusions, that's going to be the actual the strategy statements that I'm going to talk about here again, like I said, in the next video, and then the implementation. And like I said, I've got a couple of links in a template that I'm going to provide to you that talks about the difference between strategy and implementation. Let me close this piece of the video by saying this. The real challenge in this project, if you look at this bumper sticker I have down here at the bottom, is being able to show a clear link between the problem that you have decided to study with some company, could be your own company, and I certainly would recommend if you can do something for your own company that you do it, as long as you have the permission to use the company and any sort of data that you get from them. So a clear link and clear connection between a problem statement that the business is having, the research questions. Really the purpose of the research questions is to reinforce to the team what it is that you are trying to answer. And everything that you do in this project should be absolutely directly related to the research questions. So once you have written the problem statement and the research questions, again, I don't want to leave anybody unsure about the fact that you are required to do your own data collect and your own analytical work. And the data, obviously, the data and the analytical methods that you pair together should be directly teamed such that they are able to address your research questions. Any results that you have related to your research questions should come from your data and analysis. And then once you have finished up the analysis, you obviously have some results, which drives your strategy and implementation. So this is the link that I am looking for in the projects, and this is the link that everybody should be trying to establish. One that runs from the problem statement to implementation and in reverse. That is really the challenge here in the project. So like I said, let me break this up into a couple of short videos. This is really just to kind of give you an overview of the course with a strategic overview of the project itself and how it gets laid out through the course, and really the expectations and what I would recommend to you as a team to get started and to come up with your own strategy on how you're going to get through the project. So I will leave you with this, and the next video will be an overview of the project template. Thanks.